Hey everybody, how's it going? Dan Shinder here on Drum Talk TV. Tell us where you're watching from. I'm way up in the mountains in Globe, Arizona, about 100 miles east of Phoenix, here on Drum Talk TV with a first-time guest who I know will be coming back because he's legendary and there's so much to talk about. There's no way we'll squeeze it into one episode. Merle Perkolator Perkins coming to us from Chicago. Merle, welcome.
Well, man, it's a pleasure to be here. I think I've been waiting for this all my life.
Yeah, we've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm glad we finally have it together.
Yeah.
And folks, tell us where you're watching from. And if you want me to relay questions, I will. I have my questions up here at the top of my head. And I have my monitor here, so I'll be watching the show. So when you see me look over here, I'm not watching the Flintstones or the ball game. I'm watching Mural and I, just like you guys are. So chime in, tell us where you're watching from. I'll give some shout outs. Mural, I have so many questions, but where I really want to start is, I know you were in drum corps, but what happened before drum corps? Did you start playing drums before you had that sort of formal training, or did you start right off in drum corps? And how old were you when you started?
Well, actually, my mom, I had no sisters or brothers at all. So she raised me by herself.
Wow.
And she said every time she would take me to the parade and the drums come out, and I would start stomping my feet more and more as the drums got louder. And, then, I was born in Kansas City, Kansas. So what happened is my mother met a boyfriend and he got a job in St. Louis, Missouri. Mm-hmm. And I moved to St. Louis, Missouri in 1956. So I happened to be out playing in the yard and I seen this drum corps walking in a straight line. And they went over to, it was a school there and they started practicing. So I followed them over there and I was still young then, I think I was, 14 or something like that. And I said, man, I really like the drums. I'd like to do that. And so as the years went by, we stayed in St. Louis. I happened to move from one section of St. Louis and move into another part of St. Louis. And then where I moved at, they used to have a parade that would march past close to where I was at. Mm-hmm. So there was a church called Pleasant Green. A church drum corps I was in 1962 called Pleasant Green Drum and Bugle Corps, a very small drum corps. And when we marched in parades, and when we get to the end, when I seen the Spirit of St. Louis, there was an all Afro-American senior corps.
Nice.
And I said, man, I want to be with those cats there because they were a very popular drum corps. So back then, there, processes and pump doors, all that was in style. So I had a pompadour, a drum corps was more like military.
Yeah.
So, when I was in Pleasant Green, I played tenor drum. I wanted to play snare, but I was kind of a little bit scared of the snares on there. So I picked tenor was a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. So, what I happened to do, I went to the Spirit of St. Louis drum corps practice, and I told them I wanted to join. And they said, sorry, man, I'm gonna have to tell you, you had to cut all that hair off, because this is like military. So I went to the barber and I cut all my hair off. And I had no hair. I was like bald head. And I came back and they said, man, this guy's serious about being in the drum corps. So that's where it started.
That's awesome.
In St. Louis, Missouri. And, they teach you how to read and practice. So I joined them. I had a chance to play in different cities. And I thought that the Spirit of St. Louis was the only Afro-American drum corps in existence.
But it's not. I'm pulling up a picture of you. You could talk about it. This is a picture. I'm going to circle Merle in case you can't see his his name at the bottom, but this is 1963. I'm circling with my mouse here, the cursor. You were 18, and that was in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, that was in Plymouth, Wisconsin. The guy that took that picture was named Charles Payne. Unfortunately, he had some more pictures, and I had my band then, so I had sent him some promo pictures. And back then, I had cassette tapes of my band, and I sent it to him. But unfortunately, he got sick and got on a treadmill, and something he passed away. So I didn't get none of the rest of the pictures of the drum corps.
Oh.
And that picture was a little small picture, and I had it. It was in color, and I just made it into a big picture. But then me and my mom, we stayed in a basement apartment, and it got flooded, and that kind of destroyed that photo. It split half in two. And a friend of mine said, I know somebody could put that back together for you. You know,
wow.
It won't be
I
in
never
color.
would have known.
Yeah, man. He took that picture right there. He took that picture, and it cost me $127, and he fixed it up like it was never nothing wrong with it, but was in black and white.
But it looks great, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Fast forward from drum corps to whatever point you want to explain this. How did your drum corps learnings and the chops that you built in drum corps translate to the drum kit? And what were some of the first things you played as a drum set drummer? Did you start with the blues and the shuffle and all those things, or did you start in a different area of music and gravitate towards blues? What was that kind of arc like for you musically?
Well, actually, when I was sitting in St. Louis, a friend of mine influenced me to come to Chicago. And so in 1964, I moved to Chicago because back then they said, if you can't make it in Chicago, you can't make it nowhere, you know? Right. So what happened, when I was here, I just worked jobs. I didn't even think about playing a drum set. I worked at Hertz, Rent-A-Car, Skill Tools. I did everything, making assembly lines and making lamps and stuff like that. So what happened is I met a singer. His name was Joe Cato. And he used to perform, and I used to go and watch him perform. I would be backstage and watch him perform, and I would just beat in the chair. And he came, he said, man, you got some good hands. He said, why don't you try to learn how to play a set? So I kind of took that and considered. I said, yeah, man, I'm going to try that. So what I did, I was working with Hertz Rent-A-Car. I had a big old jar of cones, and on 43rd Street, in Chicago, I went to a pawn set. I had a little cheap set called a Beverly set. And I bought that set. And then my mother stayed in a basement apartment. So I just started practicing. The first song I practiced on was a song called The Horse. It was instrumental on one side and singing on the other side. That was when they had 45 records.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah.
Barely. I want to give some shout outs real quick before you continue your answer. Escar Rosas says, Hola, saludando desde Mexico. Hola, ¿cómo estás, Escar? And then Jonathan Robles says, greetings from New York. Fast tempo might do the trick. Cool. So what did your mom think when you brought home a drum set in a basement apartment?
Well, actually, I think she didn't say anything about me doing it because my mother used to be, when I was younger, she was singing like Sarah Vaughan.
Oh, wow.
And she used to make her clothes, and I remember her making her own clothes. And so I think maybe I got a little music background for her, being a singer like Nancy Wilson, Sarah Vaughan,
nice, and
stuff like that. So, but what happened when I started practicing, somebody in the building didn't like it. They called the police on me. And the police came and knocked on the door and said, hey, man, somebody don't like drums here, you know.
Did you tell the police they should go arrest that person for not liking drums?
No, I just did what the police told me to do. But then later on, I said, man, I'm gonna practice again. I'm gonna go ahead. So I did it again. Started practicing. The police came again, but this time they told me, they said by law you can practice on an instrument from 10 in the morning till 10 at night.
Yep.
What did they tell me that for? I started practicing. And then after I had went and bought that set, I met a drummer coming out of the pawn shop. His name was Leonard Mayfield. And he was playing, and I went to a gig to hear him play, and he just blew me away. He was like kind of like a big band drummer, and then he played in a jazz band, and I just started following him everywhere he went. And he said one day, man, one day, your hands are good. One day you're gonna be a famous drummer, And what happened, he started taking me to the jam sessions.
Oh.
And to the blues jam session, as I got into blues.
Mm-hmm.
And I started going and sitting in, trying to learn how to play the blues. And one day, Buddy Guy had a club, it's on 43rd, called the Checkerboard Lounge. You probably heard of it. I mean,
yeah.
Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones used to come there, and Muddy Waters is from Chicago and stuff,
Yeah.
So it was a club on the corner called Peppers. So I went and sat in on the drums, and I was playing the wrong beat on the drums, and they stopped the music and came and took me off the drum set.
Oh, wow.
And so it hurt my feelings, and I got kind of angry about it. But see, they didn't know I could read music. So I said, man, I'm gonna fix them. And then one day I was looking at TV, and I seen Maha Vickers Orchestra, and I seen Billy Cobham in the 70s playing. I had never seen an Afro-American play double bass drums, and he sounded like a machine.
Yeah. Was it Mahavishnu Orchestra that you saw?
Yeah, he was playing with John McGoughlin.
Yeah. Legendary.
So I said, it ain't nobody on the blues set playing double bass drums. And I said, I went into the music store and I started buying sets with all mismatch. And then back there, they had like on the ceilings, you could buy ceiling paper that looked like wood.
Mm-hmm.
So I took all the hardware off, put that wood on there, and had 4 toms and 2 floor toms. And I put it all together, and it had some stuff that was like, it's not varnish was making stuff shine, but it had some stuff called Flecto Veriflare. I don't even know if they even got that, but you would spread, and it would make, wait 24 hours, and it looked real shiny like a set. And I put all the hardware back, just went in the woodshed and started practicing on the double bass drums. And then I met some other guys, his name was Sammy Fender and Charles Taylor, which was kin to Coco Taylor, Queen of the Blues. Mm-hmm. So that was the first band I started playing with the double bass drums. And then my first professional gig was with a band called Joe Ferguson and the Vibratones. That was my first trip, and they didn't play blues. So we went to Grand Rapids, Michigan, and it was an hour ahead there. So we got there a little late, parked on the side of the building, and we had to sit up real quick, sit in and play. When we finished the first set, we went back out to the truck, man. Somebody broke in the truck. They took everything. We didn't have no clothes, drawers, everything.
Oh, wow.
Everything. So we had 4 nights at that club, and we had to play in the same clothes.
Oh, well, that's okay. It would have looked like your outfit. Like, these are our outfits, right? Hey, Merle, I want to show everybody a clip. I'm going to bring up a clip. You won't see it, but the audience will. Okay. And we'll be quiet while they're watching. Otherwise, they'll hear us talking about them.
Okay.
And this is Merle from the 80s at the Monterey Jazz Festival. playing with James Cotton. Check out this groovy Chicago blues shuffle. Check this out.
I'll find myself somebody else. What I want, you walk with me. And when I talk, woman, you got to talk to me. Help me, baby. I can't do it all by myself. If you don't help me, baby, I'll find myself somebody else. Oh, yeah.
That music is just a little too cool, I think. Those were the days. What? Gosh, where do I go with this? So I guess what I want to ask is, you gigged a lot. You've played in 22 countries. Most people can't name more than 5. Most Americans are like, okay, the US, Canada, Mexico, Italy, and Alaska. But you've played in 22 countries in every state except for 2, Hawaii and Arizona, correct?
Alaska.
Alaska. So
Yeah.
being that you gigged so much, was there a particular place that you loved gigging the most, where you always looked forward to the most going back when you saw it on the itinerary? Was there something different about the ambiance or the venues or the audience?
The most place I really like playing is Canada.
Really?
And the reason why I like Canada, because Canada is like a melting pot. You know, it's not sectioned off like the United States, like you got Mexican over here, you got a Puerto Rican over here,
Right.
You know. So you got the neighborhood I stay in is called Lincoln Park, and it's kind of mixed up here.
Mm-hmm.
But Canada, it doesn't matter what nationality you are, you all stay together.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about Canada.
That's
And the
awesome.
people are so nice there, you know. I played Toronto, you know. I had a really big, nice. The first time I ever went there was after my first gig after playing with Joe Perkins of the Vibraton. I don't even know how I get the gig with Freddie King. Now, Freddie King, you know, was a guitar player way ahead of his time. And what happened is his drummer was sick.
Oh.
And so I got the gig with that. I did a 4-day tour, and we played Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, big theaters. And I remember playing Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, because that's 71 is when the Pittsburgh Pirates won the World Series.
That's right.
And we were opening a show for Leon Russell.
Oh, wow.
So all those gigs.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I mean, I feel like a king because they had like roadies, and Freddie King had a Brougham Cadillac, a big Cadillac. That's what we rode in. So I feel like a king.
Big
time, you know.
Yeah. That's cool.
And then when I got back to Chicago, I was sitting in at the checkerboard, and then Buddy Guy was looking around the corner.
I was going to ask how you got that gig.
He was looking around the corner. He said, "You playing with anybody?" I said, "No." He said, "Would you like to play with me?" And that's when Buddy Guy and Junior Wells was playing together as a team.
Right.
So 1976 to 1978, I played with Buddy Guy and Junior Wells, and then playing at the Bottom Line, which was a very good place in New York City, opening a show for Mose Allison.
Wow.
And have recordings of that, audios of that. If you go, it's called Wolf Vault. You can go there and people can, I guess they have to pay money to listen to that,
Yeah.
But the thing about it, I recorded all that stuff, and that's what a lot of stuff that I played on. I already recorded my gigs because I wanted to hear what I sound like.
Yeah.
I either had a sound man to do it, or then I took a boom box and did it. So a lot of stuff that's live that you hear on my YouTube page is live with Buddy Guy, Junior Wells is either from the sound people or I recorded it.
That's awesome. Wow.
And then the gig, when I was 15 years old and I lived in St. Louis, I used to shoot pool with Albert King when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
So actually, when he came to Chicago, I heard he was looking for a drummer. And I went there, and I played with him in 1980. I went to rehearsal, and I said, "You remember me when I used to shoot pool with you?" And he's a big, tall guy. Oh, yeah, I remember you. So then I went on a tour with Albert King, and I recorded that.
That's awesome. Here's a question for you, Merle. You've played with, James Cotton, Lenny Brooks, Eddy Clearwater for 11 years, Charlie Musselwhite, Albert King, of course, Buddy Guy and Junior Wells, Freddie King, and dozens and dozens and dozens more. Other than drum corps, who did you play with that you learned the most from as a musician?
Well, it was a famous group in Chicago. They were called the Scott Brothers. They were a horn group. They were very popular. And this guy had a band. It was a guy they all looked like a big family. And Scotty and the Rib Tips was a guitar player. He wanted to took me under his wings and showed me how to play a shuffle. So they had a little tape recorder of that, but those guys, this was way back when I first started, and I knew those guys, but Scotty, he died of cancer, and then one of the other brothers died got sick and died, and they're still around, and they played behind, I forget what his name, he made a popular, Can I Change My Man, Tyrone Davis.
Oh.
Yeah, they played behind him, And it kind of just went on from there, after playing with Albert King, I had got the offer with the gig with Lonnie Brooks. Mm-hmm. But I always wanted to play Albert King, man, because when I played with him, his playing just sent chill bumps through me, and I had an octopus set then.
Oh, wow, cool.
When I was playing with him, I was a little afraid because, I heard a lot of things about him. He was mean. He was pretty mean with people,
Really?
And a lot of musicians were afraid of him. And when I rode on his bus with him, man, we had stopped, and I had got a cookie, and I got on a bus, and the guy said, "Man, you can't eat on the bus." And so I had to get off on the curb and eat the cookie. Then when we stopped at another stop, I got a pop, and they said, "Man, you can't drink no pop on the bus." I said, "Man, what can you do on this bus?"
You're right,
That was it. Nap. But he was pretty mean person, man, and I had got offered the gig with Lonnie Brooks, and I said, "Man, I'm going to get this gig with Lonnie Brooks." So I called my mom. I told the bass player, I said, "Man, I can't live," because he was paying $300 a week. He take out income tax, which I never heard of that, $166 out of $300. Then we had to share the room with the rest of the money. I said, "I can't stay out here for that." So I just told the bass player, he was there, I said, "Man, get another drummer." So the last gig I was going to do with him, some drummer pull up behind the bus, and I said, "Well, he paid me, but it was a guitar player named Dion Payton was in there." My mother drove from Chicago to Memphis, Tennessee, and picked us up and took us back to Chicago. And I hooked up with Lonnie Brooks.
Nice.
And I played with Lonnie Brooks for about 2 years, and I recorded an album with him called Turn on the Night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, I played with so many, and then you know, playing with Lonnie Brooks, and then James Cotton. You know, James Cotton, his blues are called boogie blues.
Yeah.
It's very fast.
Yeah.
Not like regular blues. You know, but I had a hard time playing that shuffle like that because the drummer before him was Kenny Kennard. If you listen to the 100% Cotton, James Cotton, it sounds like an old time movie. It sounds like the 40, like you speed it up to 78. Yeah. His shuffle was that. He was super fast shuffle. But I had to practice. I tried all kinds of drumsticks, man, trying to fit in. But I finally got that shuffle. But it took a lot of practice.
That's awesome. Yeah. Let's show a clip of you. Part of a clip of Merle. This is a great angle too. It's like kind of behind and to his left, playing a solo with a double pedal. And at some point, a spring gets loose, but it doesn't mess up his playing at all. Check this out, folks. That is great. What I love about that is that you're really economizing your energy. Your feet look like they're hardly moving, yet you hear this. Was that pretty much your style? It was just to play it like butter like that?
Yeah, well, you know, actually where I got those triplets on the feet is playing over the top of that. All kinds of licks, and then keep that going. Dennis Chambers does that. And I basically got it from him, but I think he starts his with the double.
Yeah.
You know,
now, the triplet sounds cool. It's like that neat ostinato going, and then you're just doing all this other stuff on top.
Right, and playing all around that. And then it was another part of a drum solo. I don't know if you remember a group called Madura. They were in 1973. Ross Salamone was their drummer.
Okay.
And I got that album, and I still today, I've seen a lot of double bass drum players, but I never heard nobody do a drum solo like that, the way he does it. Yeah.
Oh,
what he would do, he would play a drum solo, and what he'd do, he would slow it down, and then he would take his feet and go real slow and build it up. And then until it goes to a roll, his feet start rolling like that. And then he would take his hands, bop, 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 bop. And then his hands would catch up with his feet.
Oh, that's cool.
And it sounded like an avalanche.
That's awesome. I got to look for that.
Then he would start axing while that's going on like that. And I never heard a drummer do that at all.
Cool. What do you think, Merle, of today's music? And I know that's such a broad question because there's so many different genres of music, but let's start with, what do you think of where blues and R&B has gone from like the 60s and 70s until the early 2000s till now? Has it evolved much? Has it changed much? Has it morphed into something completely different? Because for me personally, growing up as a little kid in the 60s in Los Angeles, there was a radio station that I'd put on headphones when I was 7, 8, 9 years old and just play to whatever came on. And back then, if you remember, at least in LA, music wasn't really that segregated by genre. So there'd be a lot of different things on this. You'd hear Sly and the Family Stone, and then you'd hear Neil Diamond, and then you'd hear Led Zeppelin, then you'd hear Bobby Sherman, then Linda. It was all mixed together. And within all that, to me, was real R&B, which stood for rhythm and blues. But by the 90s and the early 2000s, R&B turned into something that had some rhythm, but not much blues. What's your take on that?
Well, back in the day, when I did play in blues and I did a changeover, is that I listened to all kinds of music. I never just listened to Indian music. I listened to rhythms that they played. I orchestra music. I even heavy metal, like the Outlaws and those big rock groups, and those drummers in those bands are phenomenal. And I think the person has to learn how to play other kinds of music, broaden your vocabulary. And then I went to Frank's drum shop, and Philip Strangers was my teacher because, I learned how he wrote the double bass drum music out. So, and that's the thing about on a blues set. See, those guys didn't know I could read music. But, once I started playing double bass drums on the blues set, then they was all coming because there wasn't nobody doing that but me. I was the first drummer to do that. But then later on, then the double pedals came out. Right. And I could already play them. Yeah. But then now you got a lot of drummers that are playing them, And then there's a new style of, I call it gospel chops. That's another style of drumming. Right. And what it is all they're doing is playing rudiments, and they playing the fast single stroke rolls, but Billy is the one that plays singles, man, like that. So that really, not playing nothing new. A lot of stuff that drummers play today don't know that was played a long time ago. Right. We weren't the first one to do that. I thought I was the first one that played mallets until I seen that older lady,
Viola Smith.
Yeah, man, I seen her. I said, man, she's the first woman that I seen play that.
Yeah, we have a video. I interviewed her when she was 102, and then my wife and I visited with her again when she was 106, shortly before she passed. But there's that video that we play from time to time from 1939, and she has those old style gong drums, and she's playing the whole set with mallets. And then Ginger Baker did some stuff with mallets in the 60s, and there's always a predecessor to something. Something always came from something else. And like you said, there's a lot of stuff that's gone on in the last couple decades that I think a lot of younger, not just drummers, but musicians don't realize it's predicated on something that happened 20, 30, 40 years prior. If you look at what Max Roach did, what Papa Joe Jones did, Speedy Rufus Jones, all those guys were doing something that then surfaced as something else in the rock world. I think that the best example is probably Max Roach's Bucket of Fish that John Bonham adapted with Led Zeppelin. And a lot of younger drummers don't realize that when John Bonham, Keith Moon, Ginger Baker, Charlie Watts, they didn't have rock examples because there was no rock for them to play to. They were listening to those older jazz players, and they kind of retranslated those rudiments and that feel into this other new form of music, which has evolved since then.
Right. And actually, like Joe Morello. Yeah. Those cats there, man, Alvin Jones, I got a picture of Alvin Jones. I had a chance to, when I played in Montreal, Canada, a place called Rising Sun, Dizzy Gillespie came in.
Oh, wow.
And sat in, whatever. So I had a pleasure of playing behind Dizzy Gillespie.
Wow.
You know, and also Big Mama Thornton came in and played with us, and you know, and the thing I think a person to me hasn't really lived a life if they haven't seen. If you got a 9-to-5 job, you get a chance to go on vacation. But by being a musician, you get a chance to see what this part of this world looks like.
Yeah.
You know, different nationalities. I had played country where they don't even speak English, but they just like the blues.
Right.
And even the stuff that's going on in Russia, I played in Moscow, Russia, with Eddy Clearwater, and you know, I always dressed up real nice, dressed up in a zoot suit. I like the zoot suit style, long coat.
Nice.
So the first time that I played in Moscow, Russia, and I came out just to check the drums out, man, those people went crazy when I came out there on stage, man. They were taking pictures, and then Eddy Clearwater was wondering what's happening. I guess they never really seen a zoot suit, or, you know, had it cocked to the side. And
that you were at the time, that was such a classic slice of the West for them in person.
Yeah.
Plus the drummer.
Yep.
With all that traveling, Merle, where I have some traveling questions for you, because like you said, when you're a musician and a few other professions, you get to see the world, you get out of your element, you see your own element differently, you know, it changes your perspective. Where did you go where you had the best, other than maybe Mom's house, where did you go that you had the best food ever?
The best food I ever had that I really, really like is Istanbul turkey.
Really?
I really like the food that they eat because it's not fried, it's healthy, really healthy for you. You know, and I, you know, I got a chance to go to Istanbul, Turkey 2 times in 1989 with my son Sil, and traveled all over them southern cities I can't even pronounce that we even played, you know. And then the second time I got a chance to go when I got with Eddy Clearwater in 1999. So I got a chance to travel all around in Turkey, and same thing happened. The thing about going, when you go overseas, when I played in Antalya, which is the capital of Turkey, and when I came off a stage, man, I had about 30 young girls. They surrounded me when I came out of there, and they all wanted to kiss me and for autograph. I still got a little bracelet, ankle bracelet that one of them gave me back then. And then the band there went to the Hard Rock Cafe there, and me and the bass player, we sat in with a band, and the club there was closed on Monday. And they said, hey, if you come there Monday, we'll open up. Wow. They opened that club for me to come there. So I went to the club, and when I got to the club, the place was jam-packed, man, and they went crazy. And that's the thing about, when I go to overseas, man, I get treated like a king.
Yeah.
And Moscow, Russia, they call me Godfather of the drums.
Nice.
You know, and I got photos. They had a club called the BB Kings, and went there, and I got a lot of pictures of those guys there. And mostly everywhere that I go, you know, and perform, most of the people, the musicians and stuff, man, it'd be like, man, this guy here, you know. And I guess me playing in drum corps, because, you know, we're so disciplined, and then you have to play really relaxed, not really chant. And, you know, and Bruce Elock from Alligator Records, which is the biggest record label company here. When I played with Eddy Clearwater, I don't think he never really complimented. He came on, he said, man, he said, you play so smooth, like you're like riding in a Cadillac.
Nice.
You know, I never played like really wild, you know, because you learn that technique to play with the wrist, you know.
Yeah.
And because Billy plays with his fingers, that's
Yeah.
the harder thing,
Yeah.
you know. But there's a lot of countries, you know, like I like Turkey, I like the food in Paris, France. In France, you know, I've been to. I mean, all those countries that I've been to, and then I've been on a cruise ship. You know, I got a chance to play behind Honey Boy Edwards. Now, Honey Boy Edwards was the last of the Delta Blues guys. I have a picture of playing with him, and also have a picture. I played behind Pine Top Perkins, which is a legend. Those cats passed away, and everybody that I recorded with and played with, most everybody's passed away.
Yeah.
You know, Eddie, he passed away a few years ago. I don't know if you ever heard of Sam Lay.
Yeah.
I just went there.
Yeah,
I just went. He passed away.
Yeah.
Just went to the funeral. Or you heard of Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson made 93. Like I'm playing 90 when he turned 92 at a place called Blues on Halstead. I sent in with the band and played there. My friend from Brazil, Jiva, took the pictures of me playing, sitting in with the band. And I played with Jimmy Johnson way back in the early 70s. You know, I played with him. And sometimes, I mean, I play with so many people, man. I play with some little people too that are not very big people. But, you know, back in the day, man, in Chicago, you make like 50 cents a night and you work. You know, I was kind of playboy and, you know, had a woman I didn't pay no rent. You know, back in the day, you know, driving deuces and quarters and Sharp, you know, and stuff like that. So, but I mean, the ladies like me and, you know, being a musician and stuff. So, but, you know, making $50 7 nights a week, that's pretty good money because stuff was cheap. Gas was 27 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
Back then.
Wow. And you're still playing.
And I'm still playing, you know.
Do you like it just as much as you ever have?
Yeah. I tell you, when I had put my band together, because a friend of mine that was married to Chaka Khan, his name is Hassan Khan, he played bass with me. He said, man, you didn't play with her. Why don't you put your own band together? You know, and I kind of thought about it. And then that's why I had a band called Merle Perkins and the Perkolators. I did it about 7 years, but being a band leader, and then I had a woman that we lived together that helped me book. She worked for Allied Band Companies, and so while I was out of town, Allied would call all over and, you know, and book. But then when we broke up, I had to do all that on myself. You know, I didn't have a booking agent or publisher or manager. Most everything that I got by me networking, getting magazines and always posting stuff about me. There's a new CD coming out that I just did. Whenever it comes out, we finish it. It's got horns on it.
Nice.
A harmonica player, organ, piano, background vocals, all original stuff. And he's trying to find a record label to get on. You know.
That's cool.
But like I have my own CDs, but I have a guy that does them up real professional because you can't even buy us. They don't have CDs in the store no more.
Yeah.
You have to sell them on stage.
Yeah.
When you perform, you know. So he didn't want to do that. He said if I put my music on YouTube and stuff like that, he said ain't nobody gonna buy it. I said, nah, that's not true.
Right.
You gotta promote yourselves and let the people know who you are.
Yeah.
Because a guitar player get more props than a drummer. And drummers, I think Tony Williams did an article where he read that drummers didn't hardly get noticed because they're in the background. They always notice people up front.
Yeah.
but drummers are the heartbeat of music.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're the heartbeat, and the bass player is next to that. But even if the bass player lays out, something happened with the amp, you can still carry that groove being a drummer. And what I learned from Dave Waco is that sing what you play.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, he said, if you can't sing it, you can't play it.
Yeah, that's right. I'm glad you mentioned that. I have a 15-year-old student, drum student, and he came to me because he's a jazz player and wanted to learn rock. So we learned a few rock songs, and then I decided to teach him a pretty hairy progressive rock song that's instrumental. It's two drummers because it's live, and it's Phil Collins and Chester Thompson playing a live version of Los Endos. And it's pretty complicated. And I told him that what I've done my whole life to learn very long pieces of music is I've memorized what every instrument is doing. And exactly what you just said, you should be able to sing the bass part, you should be able to sing the guitar part, you should know all the lyrics. That's knowing every twist and turn and rock and mailbox and tree of the map, basically, of that song. And when you can, no matter what instrument you play, if you could sing every part, you'll never be lost. You'll understand the dynamics, you'll understand the phrasing, and it just makes it so much easier to remember the whole thing.
And and a lot of drummers, and blues drummers, I always go to the fusion jazz, like I've been to Phil Perkins,
Yeah.
John Patitucci, Mike Stearns.
Yeah.
I go to those concerts and see those guys because then I ask them questions, and I asked them, I said, how do y'all perceive your music when you play it? And the guys told me, say, well, we play off of each other. So if I hear I play off of him, I'll play it. And if the bass player is too busy, the drummer's got to lay back. If the drummer's busy, then the bass player has got to kind of lay back on stuff. Both of y'all can't be all busy and stuff. So you got to listen to those cats. Those cats are pros, and read music. And you just gotta listen to all types of music, man. You can't just listen to one variety of music.
That's right. No matter what your favorite is, you've got to expose yourself. Yeah. And that's neat because fusion and blues have that thing in common where there's a lot of improvisation, and you've got to know who's on your team and what are their sensibilities, and like you said, know when to lay back because this guy or girl's going to take off. And it's all about chemistry and a little bit of telepathy as well, right?
Yeah.
So let's do this. I have a special segment that I love to end every interview with, and this one today is called the Merle Perkins Fun Fact Questions. So this is a way for everyone to get to know you. I'm going to ask you a series of rapid fire questions that I want you to answer as quick as you can without thinking too much about it. Okay, ready?
All right.
Okay. Paper or plastic?
Plastic.
Wheat, white, or rye?
Wheat.
What's your favorite movie?
Horror movies.
Ooh. Do you have a favorite? Is it oldie or something contemporary?
Oh man, I tell you, a movie that scared me to death is The Alien. I've seen all those movies. When I first seen it, that scared me. And Sigourney Weaver was in that movie, man.
Yeah.
That's the first movie that ever scared me.
That's great.
And when I was 10 years old, I tell you, another movie scared me, and I was scared to turn the lights and look over the bed was The Thing.
Oh, yeah. That's hilarious. How about TV shows? Also horror? Or do you have a favorite genre for TV?
My Little Rascals. Man, I love the Little Rascals, Three Stooges.
Great.
Laura and Hardy. Man, and it's never been anybody like those guys.
You're right. Oh, legendary. That's hilarious. With all your traveling, what's the one place you've never been to that you would love to go to, whether it's to play or visit?
Oh man, I would like to go to Australia and Singapore.
Oh, I've been to both. They're both amazing. Yeah.
Those are two places. And then another time, I wanted to go to Japan. That was another, while I'm still living. So with Eddy Clearwater, I went to Japan and Osaka, Japan.
Nice.
So I got a chance to go
Japan's
there.
amazing.
It was a Japanese friend of mine had took a picture of me playing, and he also took the video of the same place. So I put the picture in the video on one of my life page of playing with Eddy Clearwater.
Nice.
And also I never recorded. I was with Eddy for 11 years, but when he recorded like 3 CDs, he always used Duke Overlaw. He would use that. There was a horn band out of Massachusetts. He would always use an established band that was already established. And then another CD that he did, he uses the Low Straight Jackets. Now, he got nominated for an award with that, the Low Straight Jackets.
Yeah.
They didn't sing. I don't know if you heard of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Low Straight Jackets. And then the next CD he did was with Lonnie Brooks' son. Lonnie Brooks had 2 sons, Wayne Baker Brooks and Ronnie Baker Brooks. And when we used to practice, they were little kids. But those little boys turned out to be killer guitar players, man, and singers.
Yeah.
They working.
Well, they had a little bit of influence.
Right.
How about here's 3 more questions. What was your first car?
What was my first car, man? Was I was working a job. Was a '57 Ford.
Nice.
Hard top convertible. The top was
Popped off.
hard, but
Yeah.
it would come back.
Yeah.
So
That's
the '57
awesome.
Ford.
And
first-
what's your dream car?
Oh man, I tell you what I always wanted to be. I had 2 motorhomes. I always either wanted to be a bus driver, Greyhound bus driver, or trotted bus driver, or drive a semi-trailer truck.
Oh, wow.
So when I had my band, I rode in a 20G van. So I bought a used motorhome, a Tasca, 27 inch.
Nice.
I bought it, and then that's what we traveled in. And then I traded that in because they make motorhomes in Indiana. That's next to Chicago. So I traded that motorhome in, and I bought a brand new one.
Nice. That's
And
awesome.
I was the only drummer, only musician in Chicago that had a motorhome.
That's cool. Last question. What is the best advice you ever received, and who gave it to you?
Okay, Junior Wells. Junior Wells was very comical. And when I was booking my band, he told me, he said, the best thing to do when you try to book your band on your own, they're going to try to do you down as much as they can. And he said it's more professional when you have somebody that does that for you, because it's more professional. They can't do a booking agent down.
Right.
Because what agent's going to do that. That's the best advice I got for the band.
Uh-huh.
Now, I tell you somebody that I got a radio interview with, and you probably know him. He's from South Africa.
Yeah.
Lil D. The drummer called Lil D.
Yep.
When I saw him, he just blew me away.
Really?
And at 13 years old, I never seen nobody play like that.
Yeah.
So I got a friend that's named Eddie Freeman that has a radio station in Florida called The Train. So I hooked him up with Lil D, a radio interview with him.
Nice. That's
So, yeah.
awesome. We're going to have to do this again. There's so much more to talk about. We'll talk about that. Stay on the line with me after we say goodbye. A couple more hellos. Watching from Nepal. I think that's Rashish in disguise, possibly. And my son is chiming in saying Alien and The Thing are amazing. sci-fi horror films. I told you my son writes novels before we started, and he writes in fantasy, horror, comedy, fiction. Puts that all together. So maybe someday you guys could get together, talk old horror movies.
Oh man! When I was coming up when I was 13, I seen It Conquered the World, Coronas, The She Creature, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
All those Invasion of the Spaceman.
Yeah. My mom was a huge Boris Karloff and Vincent Price fan.
Wow, yeah, Vincent Price and
the original Frankenstein. Boris.
Bela
Lugosi, yeah.
And my mother's favorite actor was Lee Van Cleef.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. Oh, you and my wife will have to chop it up about old movies. She's a old music and music. Old jazz, and Fred Astaire is her favorite dancer and actor, and he was a great drummer. But old movies too. We'll have to do a call where we all just kind of chat together. We'll do a happy hour.
Yeah.
And I got to give a shout out to the guys at Soul Tone. You're wearing the shirt. Hope you guys are watching. If not, we'll share this to them. Have good friends over there. They make a great product.
My friend that lives in Las Vegas, I've been his mentor when he was a little boy. He used to watch me. Now he lives in Las Vegas. And he's a phenomenal drummer. His name's Sticks Tiller.
I know Sticks, yeah.
Sticks Tiller.
I've known Sticks the whole time we've been doing Drum Talk TV, yeah.
He the one that hooked me up with the Soul Tone cymbals.
That's awesome. Our son Kavan, who's an entertainer in Vegas, has played with Sticks a few times before. Kavan is a singer, dancer-singer, works the room like nobody out there. And he and Sticks have hooked up a few times and played. Yeah, that's great. Hey, Sticks.
Twirling Sticks is lit up. And, he always sent me his songs. And I said,
that's awesome.
Smoking. And then
I had no idea we had that connection.
Yeah, I have another friend named Robert Shipley.
I know Robert Shipley as well.
He's from Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my friend. And
that's
then
awesome.
Another bass player that was staying there. I don't know if he still stay there. What's his name is Allen. His last name is Allen, but he's from Chicago. I can't think of his last name, man. Jimmy Allen.
Oh, Jimmy Allen. Okay, I think I've seen him.
Bass player.
Because I started Drum Talk TV in Vegas. We were living out there when I first started. I started it in January 2013. We moved out to Arizona in 2016, I think. Yeah, but we'll have to get together, do a happy hour, and talk offline. Thanks again, Merle, for taking time in the evening to join us. And folks, thank you for following Merle and myself here. Share it around with some friends who love talking old school music, old school drumming, and some musical history. And hang on the line, Merle, after I say goodbye. And folks, thank you so much for following Drum Talk TV. It means everything to me. We got some great stuff planned for this year and some more interviews. And be sure to tell a friend. Otherwise, put your head down for a 5-minute timeout. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Yes.